So what is the ultimate cinema screen at home? How big should it be and what format do you want? In this video, we check it out. Hi, I'm Scott Rogan, founder and lead designer of Rogan Cinema. We're starting to play with some true commercial scale and level cinema products, which begs the question, well, if price was unlimited or performance was the ultimate goal, those two things almost going hand in hand, then what aspect and size and shape screen should we have? So first of all, let's look at a few parameters to base some of these dimensions and drawings off. So I'm going to work on a front row, primary row seating distance of just 3.5 meters. Now most home cinema rooms actually fall around 3.5 meters for the front row. So I'm going to work on that. Of course, if these back rows, then we need to spread out the ratios over more rows of seating. But let's just work on one row for now. So let's go for 3.5 meters. And let's then look at what is the most common cinema format or shape of screen. What we call aspect ratio is the shape of screen. So that is CinemaScope, which is about 2.4 times wider than it is tall. And this was created around, I think, the 50s. 20th Century Fox brought the technology. And when TV came out into the home, then they're like, oh my gosh, we've got competition. We need to go bigger and more immersive than TV. So they indeed did that by working with the way our peripheral vision works. Of course, humans see much wider than we do up and down. Why? Well, our food and the predators and everything that's important to us is realistically on the horizontal plane, and this is true for sound as well. That is definitely a different topic. So back to the aspect ratio. So the most common format, about 80% of movies are filmed or created in the way of Pixar in 2.4 to 1. Now, CinemaScope is a general term because it ranges from 2.35, 2.37, 2.4. So we'll just run with 2.4 as sort of a average. Okay, so if that is the most common screen size, then how big can or should we go? Well, Cinema Reference calls for only a 45, I say only 45 degree viewing angle, which is right here between the red and the green. Now this is what a studio engineer would use typically if they were mastering audio and video. That's sort of the comfort size of the viewing that I'd run with. Now I find personally when I view others in commercial cinema and in our demo rooms that people get really excited when we start getting to more like 50 to 55 degrees. The immersion is just more exciting for most people. Go to the commercial cinema, most people are sitting around the middle, sort of front to middle section of a commercial cinema, which is also around that viewing angle. Now, there's a few rules which we will work to, and there's a few rules we're going to break today as well. So the maximal size recommended by most authorities, so THX, Society of Motion Picture, the CEDIA group, say 62 degrees of viewing angle is as big as you should go. So we're going to run with that, and I must admit, as soon as we go past 55 degrees, it's quite subjective as to how many people like that. I find between 50 and 55, everyone loves it. Beyond that, some people can feel it's a little bit too big. Now mind you, IMAX is a whole different thing. IMAX film ultimately is extreme resolution. We're talking potentially 10K resolution in comparison to Ultra HD video, or the best of typical commercial cinema is 4K. Now, digital IMAX is typically 4K as well. I'm talking about the film itself. The film IMAX is massive resolution, but it's big, it's heavy, it's expensive. No one likes working with it. So IMAX have moved to digital style cameras, and they're typically around 4K. Now, why is resolution important? Well, as we increase the viewing range, the pixels making up the screen or the resolution of the film can be resolved as we get closer or those viewing angles open up. So technically for 2K projection, the 50 to 55 degree range was the limit for 2K. That is, if we had a HD screen, a 2K screen, and we sat close enough to be at that viewing range, you'll start to see the pixels. That's a distraction. We don't want to see that. Today with 4K, going up to 62 degrees is really not a problem at all. We can go even larger, and in some of our installs we do because people like it. But let's work with the 62 degree maximal viewing angle. Now let's see how that looks overall with height as well. I'm going to change the video here. Again, so here we are, we're 3.5 meters back and we're looking at the screen. Now if we go to the 62 degree viewing angle, that means a 4.2-ish, I'm going to round it to 4.2 meter wide screen. It's going to give you that sort of maximal impact for scope, and that should be, for most new cinema designs, a safe size to run with, because with the zooming options of projectors these days, you can always bring it in a little bit. Even better, a 4-way masking screen, a screen which actually blacks out the borders, the areas you're not using, will make zooming in and out and choosing the size within the canvas you have turn out spectacular. So let's go the biggest screen, and then if people in the family subjectively prefer something smaller, a different sort of aspect or a different size, then most new technologies will allow that to happen with the press of a button. I like it big, so let's go 4.2 meters wide. Now the CinemaScope height is going to be around almost 1.8 meters high, 1781 it shows here. So that's going to be the height for CinemaScope. Now your TV 16:9 can live inside the CinemaScope area here. It doesn't have to be as wide, and doing so will give you a 143-inch TV inside of that massive CinemaScope screen. Now for TV viewing, most people are going to be absolutely satisfied with that. For sport as well, which is typically that 16:9 ratio, you should be pretty happy with that screen size. So the good thing here is the TV is big and it fits, because a lot of TV isn't really designed to go massive. It's TV size, not cinematic size. And then for movies, you go out even wider, more immersive, and you're getting that capture that the director really wanted. Now, here's the curveball. Why do we have more happening on the screen? Well, there's a few other aspect ratios, and these more movies coming out in a different shape. Now, IMAX Enhanced is a format embraced or starting to be embraced somewhat. It came out a couple of years ago, and the studios are getting behind it. Disney are behind this format. Some of the Christopher Nolan films utilize a combination of IMAX film feature and CinemaScope. So what if we can go even taller? Now there's no rules here as to height. The rules were the width, 62 degrees of horizontal. Now if a movie was filmed with IMAX intent, that is one hell of a screen. In fact, IMAX can go to about 100-degree viewing angles, which is extreme. Hello, IMAX Melbourne. The cinema I usually go to is colossal, and I love it, and it's got a great sound system. Most cinemas in Australia aren't very loud. That one is. Okay, back on point here. So your sport and your TV, you might not actually want 4.2 meters wide and super height, but the movie content you will. So the IMAX Enhanced, which is typically around 1.9 to 1 aspect ratio, could actually go all the way, I'm going to fill in the blanks here, all the way to 2.2 meters of height by the 4.2 meters in width. Now this is going to feel totally immersive and totally epic. Your movie should, after all, feel massive. Now, there's another format. Now, IMAX Enhanced, definitely going to be popular, so I think supporting that is going to be a clever idea. Now, there's another IMAX format which was not just utilized, but released in full in the way of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Epic movie, like 4 hours long, very cinematic, very bold, very deep, more like a Christopher Nolan film where it goes a bit darker. Huge backstory for each character, really quite brilliant. So I've watched it once. I'm definitely going to follow up when our new cinema demo, which is under renovation, is finished. I'm not going to watch that on an iPad, let's say that much. Okay, so the Justice League came out in this really narrow looking format. It's actually only 1.33 width to height. So what would that mean if we're watching within our CinemaScope picture? So we brought a CinemaScope screen. It's 2.4 in width, and of course the height is limited to the scope height, which would be around 1800 in height. Now the 1.33 ratio is in the area shaded here, which is of course the 1.8ish in height, but only 2.3 in width. So 2.37 thereabouts for this Justice League epic movie actually brings down our viewing angle to only 37.5 degrees viewing angle. So the size diminishes, and it looks a bit funny. You do get used to it as you watch the show. You get used to it, and you see lots of picture, you see lots of information, you see ultimately the director's cut or the cinematographer's cut. Now, that movie in IMAX would have been absolutely spectacular, because IMAX screens are really tall as well as they are wide. So they are closer to this 1.4, I think it was 1.43 aspect ratio was like the original IMAX aspect ratio. So what about that at home? What if your screen could extend even taller like it's showing here, and we actually go to a screen which is 3.2 in width, which is 50 degrees of viewing angle, which I love, but now the screen height goes to a 2.44 meters of height. Now personally, that movie was designed for that scale of screen. So this is the ultimate way of having your cake and eat it too. You've got your TV spot where you want it, you've got CinemaScope where it needs to be, and you've even got every aspect of IMAX footage expanded to the scale and height that it was really designed for. Now, the issue of zooming in and out of a, say, white canvas, a white screen on the wall, it means, of course, a high quality one, though of course it means the contrast is going to be struggling, because we lose the definition in the border, and that is where a four-way masking screen comes into it. These are the ultimate companion to the ultimate projection system. So if we're watching CinemaScope footage, this grayed out area here now would actually be masked in. So we'll have a black border come in to close down to the height of this CinemaScope. So we've got black borders on the side, we have black borders top and bottom, the image is super dynamic, super tight. Then for our turbocharged full aspect ratio Zack Snyder special edition IMAX, the sides only come in, and we've now got a perfectly bordered IMAX feeling home cinema aspect as well. Of course, there's everything in between. So say it was 16:9, then it will come down a little bit, and it will also come in as a full left, right, top and bottom masking, and the sport inside that 143-inch TV will be perfectly masked, super dynamic, with no sort of grayness around it. So this is truly the ultimate way of delivering the biggest and baddest movies there are. Now, if you've got family members that go, that is too much, then there's more options. In fact, you've got any size and shape screen you want within the boundaries of this overall screen size to make up your own. So if the missus or the kids or particular sport or different content was preferably in a different size and shape, you can do that. Certainly these big aspects that I'm pushing here are all about movies, and it's all about the big screen. So I hope that was really helpful, gave you some insights as to just where home cinema can truly go big. Of course, Every room and every person is different. So these are no hard and sharp rules as to what to do, but hopefully just an example of what can be done without limited thinking. So 2.4 meter widescreen, definitely on my wish list, and I definitely love that front row, so I'll be gunning for the 62 degrees personally. Let me know below where you like to sit in a commercial cinema, and share your experiences with screen size. I would really love to hear if more people as well actually love that middle to front section, or even those that, go either side of that. It'd be great to hear. For more inspiration and education, check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram for a whole lot more. I'm Scott Rogan, Rogue Home Cinema. Remember, for great cinema at home on any day, reality can go rogue.